the opening of the greatest rivalry, tour rugby's greatest rivalry. The Stormers have been beaten 38-21, I think it was, Gav. I always get the score.
38-21.
Yeah. You always say, what, nothing, Gav. I got the scoreline right. But anyway.
I thought you said 58 at first.
No.
No.
38-21. This is our post-match pint, our hot take. We've just watched an incredible game, and I think just to start off, just reflect on the amazing occasion. I think, to me, I was sitting here, and the first thought I had was, first of all, what a crowd, 47,000 people, a great occasion, really a great game, and the Stormers were in it till about the 65th minute before they fell away. But I sort of sat there and I had this thought, Gav, why do we have a Nations Championship when we could have this? So I don't understand that. I quite enjoyed this.
Nations Championship, or are you talking? Gee, I'm sorry, I'm behaving as if this is a mic. Nations Championship. You mean the Rugby Championship or Nations?
No. Rugby Championship we're always going to have, because there'll always be a Six Nations, so there'll always be.
Are you saying that we should have tours instead of the?
The July.
In July, but when you mean England should come and play a whole
well,
tour.
yes, I think we should have with midweek games.
Again, I'm doing this. I agree with you completely. and it's actually free. I mean, it's not like I'm drunk. I mean, people can see this as Castle free, and it's very good, by the way. I agree with you completely, and I think I've said it before. I would much rather we have a tour here by England or Scotland, or it might be a bit boring to have Wales here for 3 tests, but we had them here in 2022, and it wasn't a bad series. And you mean play some provincial?
Yeah, play some provincial.
And then if they did that, I mean, I don't know if you thought this far ahead, but if you have, then good thinking. If they have, then you're playing them in season as well. I mean, the Stormers were out of season today, so that to me was the big positive about the Stormers today, was that you almost expected them to fall away in the end, because they had to be tired. I mean, they're only 3 weeks into their pre-season. The All Blacks are one hell of a team to play against in your first pre-season game. And as you say, well, you said 65 minutes. I think it was to the 68th minute that the scores were level. And I think that the All Blacks got away with one, because that scrum penalty on the far side, which led to the All Blacks' third try. I don't know where they came from, and I certainly know. I mean, that John Dobson won't want to be public about this, but the Stormers were very upset about that. Yeah. Apparently, the scrum guys like Brock and Brock Harris and company are down in the were down in the change room after the game, feeling very disappointed. And if that hadn't happened, the Stormers could well have actually pulled off a famous victory here today. Yeah,
I also, look, the romantic in me would love to believe that the All Blacks did what the All Blacks do. They got away in the last, sort of 10 minutes. They tend to score a couple of tries against teams. Thanks, guys, for walking in front of our camera. Yeah, we're filming. Anyway, that's the perils of filming around here. Anyway, I think the All Blacks were always going to be the fitter team, just given that this is 3 weeks into the Stormers pre-season.
No, absolutely. I mean,
but certainly, I mean, rugby is a strange game. If that scrum had gone the other way, and they'd got into the 22, and so you never know. You never know.
There were Stormers opportunities. There was that one where Evan Rist chased the ball down. Well, it wasn't just Evan Rist. It was him and one other chased the ball down there, and they weren't far away from scoring there. Yeah. And the Stormers could have actually taken the lead after the Sanatla try. I mean, I must admit, I didn't. My prediction was actually a 15 to 20 point win by the All Blacks, and that's eventually how it turned out. But I never expected the Stormers to be quite as competitive as they were today, because I just thought that, having come off a pre-season, and although they may play with heart, I thought that their cohesion would be off. And the cohesion wasn't really. It was a little bit. I mean, there were times when they knocked balls on, which might have been down to a bit of rust. And the All Blacks are definitely a very skillful team, and they showed that. But I just thought the Stormers were brilliant. We're probably going to go on to what we think of the All Blacks. I just thought that there were a lot of questions that the Stormers posed tonight that weren't really answered, and maybe we can go on to that next.
Well, I think before we get to this, close off with the Stormers, I just want to shout out to a couple of players. I think we feel put their hands up. I felt for Imad Khan, who came off after, I think, 3 or 4 minutes, didn't really get much of a game. He was a type of sniping scrum off I think we would have loved to have seen tonight. Yakin Ahmed certainly looked the part, looked like he was at home. Maybe had 1 or 2 nervy bits at the start, but by the game got the second half, he certainly looked like he was running things for the Stormers. I thought Dion Faree.
He was immense. Yeah, Dion was absolutely immense.
I mean, I was chatting to Jamie Wall before, and he said he must be the oldest player to have scored a try against the
quite possibly
All Blacks. And I said, well, maybe we've got to wait till Tuesday because Ma Nanu might do that, but you never know. You never know. Anyway, but he's another one. I thought the 2 locks were exceptional, Audrey and Connor. For a team that's lost Salman Marat, JD Schikkeling, Ruben van Heerden, lost all their frontline locks, to have these guys come in and they really played well. I suppose we can go through a bunch of those guys, but certainly those are the guys who stood out for me.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Connor Evans, and I've always felt that he's got a lot of potential, and he hasn't quite sort of come through yet. But in the last 2 games that he's played, because 7 weeks ago, well, actually probably 10 weeks ago, the Stormers played against Leinster in that URC semi-final, and I thought Connor Evans actually had one of his best games for the Stormers in that game. He made 16 tackles today. He was very busy. He carried the ball well. So maybe the Stormers don't have too many problems at lock. I mean, Dobber's told me that he's probably going to play Ben Jason Dixon at lock this season, which makes sense because the Stormers have a lot of loose forwards. And then there are a couple of players that he's looking at to come here next season. But Brunners was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I mean, Dion Faree, and the ovation he got when he came off the field. That was the thing. It was such a great occasion. It was a great night because you and I sat through games in the 2021 series against the British Lions, and I'm not talking about the series. I'm talking about the provincial games. They were just so one-sided, and it was just so soulless. And today, 47,000 people pitched up. Imagine what the crowd would be if it wasn't a little bit overpriced.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, I think the crowd's going to probably be very different when it comes back to the test, because I don't think there'll be as many All Black fans as there were today. But I mean, even that, I mean, there's been a talking point this week. It really wasn't. The sense of occasion was just so great, and I think. I'm a bit of a rugby romantic. I know you are as well. We love these provincial games. It was really great to see, and well done to the Cape Town crowd for that.
And I think what added to the occasion was the Wynberg school pitched up in numbers, and they, of course, it's the old boy. Yakin Ahmed is a recent old boy of that school. I mean, he was at the school not that long ago, and they were very boisterous over there in that far corner. So they added to the occasion as well. It was a great way for the tour to start. It would have been quite miserable. I must admit, after 5 minutes, I thought that the All Blacks might be set to run away with it. They were moving the ball around. As John Dobson said in the press conference afterwards, he said they really got the ball to fizz in that period, and they did. But then as the Stormers started to get their hands on the ball and started to slow a bit of the All Black game down, they started to come into it, and then they started to gain confidence. And then when they started driving at the All Blacks were in trouble, which I suppose cues where the questions that were asked.
Yeah, we were going to go straight into that now. Obviously, this is a lot of this team's probably not going to play in the tests. I think we're going to see on Tuesday when they play the Sharks a better selection, or a selection that we'll see closer to the test team. But there's a couple of guys who put their hands up for the All Blacks. I thought Rico Ioane was one of them. There's certainly guys who made a statement, but there were lots of questions asked. I think the scrums are, if I was Don Himan sitting in Buenos Aires and I saw that, I'd sit around and I'd be licking my lips. Can't wait till the first test, because I think there's some things in the scrums that they need to fix. I thought the high ball, they weren't very good.
When the ball went into the air, they just looked so jittery.
Yeah. And then of course I think also as you said, the driving mauls. The Stormers got a lot of purchase out of that. There was a lot that they could take out of it, and I think there'll be a lot shared by John Dobson. Said afterwards they had a chat to Rossi, and Rossi gave them one or two things, and they gave the box one or two things which they thought. So there is a bit of swapping of info going on, and that's good. And I think there'll be probably a lot more after this, because I don't think Dave Rennie's going to play a different game plan. I think what we're going to see is pretty much the same sort of game plan, and I think the box will be a lot more used to the pace that the All Blacks want to play. So it's going to be very interesting. But we move on to Durban now.
Well, I just want to say that the other thing I thought that the All Blacks struggled a bit with was the rush defence of the Stormers. I know it sounds odd because they ended up scoring 6 tries, but 4 of those tries were scored in the last 12 minutes of the game. When the Stormers were really, I thought they were out on their feet by that stage. In fact, there was another factor as well, which is the Dewald Duvenaga injury. He went off, so the Stormers actually were rotating their scrum halves, and they had their wings and the fullback Warwick Gallant filling in at scrum half, and Tiva Diamani was actually on the wing.
And that cost a try.
Yeah, and that cost a try. So there were circumstances that contributed to the Stormers falling away in those last 12 minutes, which they probably always were going to, because they're playing out of season, I think, the match fitness. But I do think that, like, my abiding memory of this game, apart from the Stormers mauling them and actually walking with their mauls a couple of times, I think one of my abiding memories of this game would be of the All Blacks looking very mortal and almost like sort of going back when in the tackle. I mean, the Stormers defenders going through, and I mean, okay, so they scored tries when the Stormers made defensive. I think there was the try they scored off a tap. Was it off a tap penalty? I don't know if it was a tap penalty, but the one try they scored, in fact, just before half time, the one that was scored at half time. The Stormers' defence was very bunched. Yeah. So there was a mistake. Was a mistake in that particular instance, but I just think that the Stormers, the way they defended made asked questions of the All Blacks as well.
No, they did, and the Stormers are known for their defence. I mean, Norman Laker. We were watching him. If you ever get the chance to come to DHL Stadium, do yourself a favour and watch Norman Laker at the side of the field. He gets
jumps up in the air and he throws his arms around.
He gets so animated. He's actually it's worth just watching him on the side of the field. But anyway, he's a great guy, great character, Norman. But yeah, the Stormers' defence certainly did. We're now moving off to Durban. It's interesting. I think let's just touch on that, because we will touch on it more, probably in a lot more depth, when we get Sunday to Talking Box with Nick Mellett. Keep an eye out for that on Sunday around lunchtime. But I've said a lot about Mananu. I don't quite agree with it. I don't want to go too much into it. If you've read any of my tweets, you'll understand. I feel it's taking away a place from one of the Sharks guys who puts the work in and day out, for a guy who hasn't been there 7 days in Durban. But saying that, let's rather look at the team that the Sharks have picked, Gav. Yeah. It's a very young team. It's a very exciting team, but it's also, we expect the All Blacks to play their shadow test team. So it's going to be a big test for that Shark side. Yeah, well,
the Kiwi journos tell me that they are going to be playing the shadow test side 10 days before the first test. That's the time to play it. You don't want to play your test team against the Bulls, because then it's almost like you having 5 consecutive Saturdays of matches. Of test matches. I was just going to say though that I agree with you on principle about the Manone thing, but at the same time, when I look at that Sharks team and I see how callow it is, I mean, how inexperienced, I'd almost wouldn't say, well, who is the player who's missing out? Because they actually they're going very deep. They're going very deep into their resources there, and you've got Sayaya at fullback, who I think is 18 only. You've got the 2 wings, Bester, Lilatelli Bester, and I think it's Dominic Donnell, but not names. I don't know where's Mapimpi.
I think he must be injured, because I mean that's the guy I thought of immediately.
He's experienced.
If you wanted the experience and the guy could inspire his teammates, it would be Makazole. Yeah. I take it he must be injured. We haven't seen the Sharks for a while, so we.
I looked at the team today. I saw Lorenzo Julius. Suddenly is like he's 22, and he's the most experienced player in that backline.
They're all exciting players. We've got to say
they are exciting players, but he is the most experienced. They've got a little bit of experience in the pack in the form of Vincent Koch, and I do rate Emil van Heerden as a lock. And they've got Pepsi Botolesi, who's been around the block a few times, and one other, Mane Shatuka, and I also like their number 8 and captain Nick Hatton, but Nick is also the captain of their sort of second string team normally. Yeah. And so it does have a very even third string team look about it. This particular Sharks team. So I don't expect them to put up the same sort of. I know we're going to talk about this closer to the game, but I don't expect them to put the same sort of fight as the Stormers did. But just going back to the Stormers, imagine if the Stormers were at full strength tonight, and if when Brunners went off, Dion Ferree went off, they had Paul de Villiers coming on. Or it had been the other way round. And Paul de Villiers had started and Brunners came on for the last 20 minutes. And they had Zach Porthen coming on instead of
Damien Willems.
And Damien Willems, well, he wouldn't come on, he'd be starting. And okay, I mean,
Sasha.
Yeah, and Sasha, of course, and Kobus Reinach.
Yeah.
You go through that. Ben Jason Dixon, of course, they've got Sia Khaleesi, who's contracted to them now as well. So imagine if that pack.
Technically, if you want to get technical, we could say Ches and Colby and Wilco Lowe.
And Wilco Lowe. I mean, if they had those, if we were playing full strength provincial teams against the All Blacks, I think that they would be in for a very, very long tour.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. But I think we're going to leave it there. It's late night. There's people cleaning up all around us here. They're probably going to put the lights off soon. But thanks for watching this hot take. We're going to be doing these after every one of these games. Gavin and I will be at all the stadiums to do that. And if you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. And leave your comments below. We'd love to read them as well. And I think at some point we're going to have to do a mailbag type thing and answer some questions. So if you've got any questions, leave them below. It'd be good to hear from you guys. Okay, cheers.
Cheers, guys.